Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tapo Bhikshina Papanam, Shantanam Vitaraginam, Mumukshunam Apekshoyam, Atmabodho Vidhiyate. So we shall chant now the verse 22. Yesterday we saw that, but still once again we will see in detail and then move on. Ajñānān mānasopadehe kartrutvādhīni ca atmani kalpyante bhugade chandre chalanadiyatam bhasaha. Ajñānāt, out of ignorance, Manasopadehe, whatever belongs to the Manasa Upadhi, that is the mental sheath, that is Manomaya Kosha. What is that? Kartruttvadhini, the doership, etc. Cha Atmani Kalpyante, it is imagined in the self. See here in Atmabodham, Shankara is loosely using the Manasa Upadhi and the Buddhi and the what is the Vijnanamaya Kosha? Buddhi Upadhi. So there he said Kartrutva Vimana is belonging to the Vijnanamaya Kosha. If you remember right in Vivek Chudama. But here he is saying Manasa Upadhi. See, actually the great masters like Bhagavan, they don't much discriminate between mind and the intellect. So when you have to thoroughly study Vedanta in a very step-by-step this thing, then you have to be very careful. But here it is little roughly it is explained. Ajñānāt, because of the ignorance, the Kartrutva Abhiman, Bhoktrutva, etc., which belongs to the Antakarana, we will say Antakarana, or the Anatma, or the mind or intellect, that is kalpyante, imagined to be of the Atma, the self. Meaning, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. We feel, na? That is what is explained here. Kartaham idi manyate, vimudhatma. Kartaham idi manyate. Ahankara vimudhatma. So he thinks I am the doer. Why he thinks that way? See, this Kartrutva Abhiman, it rises in the Buddhi. When the Chitchaya, when it is bathing the Buddhi Vritti, then I am, that idea comes. It has nothing to do with the self. But out of ignorance, he thinks it is his own. So he says, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. So like what the example is given here. Ambugade Chandre. Chandre means the moon. Ambugate. Ambu means the water. Ambugate means what? Which is reflected in the water. So the moon which is reflected in the water is actually still only. Because the moon which is in the sky is still. So therefore the reflection should be still only. But what happens? Ambugade Chandre Chalanati Yatha Ambasaha Chalanadi. Like the movement, Chalanadi, movement of the water, Ambu, Ambasaha. So the water's movement is superimposed on the Bimba, the reflection, and we see as if the reflection is moving. That is how we see it actually. And it is a very simple sort of logic and reasoning that actually the reflected moon is not moving. Why? It is true to the actually what is reflected. That is the actual moon. Actual moon is static. So this reflection also should be static. But it appears to be moving. Which one? Ambugade Chandre. Why it is appeared to be moving? Because the waters are moving. The water is moving. Similarly, inside the mind and buddhi, they are, continuously in agitation. And the buddhi that claims I am. But somehow we think I am the doer. Means the self, he is the doer and the enjoyer. So the movement of the water is superimposed on the bimba, reflection. Similarly, the kartrutvaviman, bhoktrutvaviman of the buddhi or the vijnanamaya kosha, here manos upadayam solraru, that is superimposed on the Atma, the self, which is wrong. See, this they have discovered in their own heart. Not only discovered, they have lived this knowledge continuously. So therefore, there is no doubt about this. And also the other scriptures also, they assert it again and again. Therefore, this Atma, the self, has no movement. It has no idea of I am the doer, enjoyer. It illuminates. But somehow, because of ajnana, whatever is the dharma of the koshas, the mind and buddhi, that I take it upon myself and then I suffer in this world. So once again, what has to be done? Discrimination. Who am I? So myself is different from the upadhis and their dharmas. Whatever belongs to the upadhis, it belongs to the upadhi, not to me. So all this sukha dukkha, this even kartrutva, bhokta, it is all belonging to the upadhi. So I am free from all these. I am just the witness. Understand? I am that Ananta, Ananda Swarupa. So this is how the vicharam has to be done. So now moving on to the verse number 23. See, all these ideas we have seen in the Vivekachudamani, it is like a revision now. See, it is like a revision. Once again we are going through. But it is simplified. See, there it was little, the shlokas are also complicated. Here it is all simplified. Ragecha sukha dukkhadi buddhau satyam pravartate sushuptau nasti tannashe tasmat buddhestu natmanaha ragecha sukha dukkhadi buddhau satyam pravartate sushuptau nasti tannashe tasmat buddhestu natmanaha. Raga means attachment. We get attached so much. Ichha, desire. See, Gurudev has differentiated between what is desire and attachment. It's really beautiful. We can have desire for those objects which we do not have. We desire for that. What is attachment? What we have, we get attached. We do not want to lose. So this is the difference between the desire and attachment. So these emotions, attachment, desire, sukha dukkhadi, the joys and sorrows, sukha dukkhadi, buddhau satyam pravartate. When the mind or the intellect, here it is said intellect, but it is mind. So mind or intellect, whatever, when they are functioning, satya, inge vandu satya means what? When they are functioning, pravartate, it is all perceived. Only when the mind is functioning, these ideas like what? Sukha dukkha, and then the raga dvesha, the ichha, bhaya, all these things are perceived. Only when the mind is functioning. Sushuptam, in the deep sleep, tannashe, when the mind is not functioning, it is absorbed. Then what happened? Nasti, These emotions are not to be found. Therefore, tasmat buddhehetu na atmanaha. So therefore these emotions, these ideas are belonging to the buddhi or the mind, not to the Atma, the self. It's very clear. If it belongs to the Atma, the self, it should be always present. When the mind is functioning, these emotions and these ideas are there. When mind is not functioning, it is not there. So it belongs to the mind, not to the Atma, the self. See, however you are disturbed, what something has happened, you feel very bad about it. But when you go into the deep sleep, you forget everything. Is that not so? Thank God we forget the deep sleep. At least some rest is given. And then when you get up, then that starts again. Where we have left, from there it starts. I tell you, this is terrible. With whatever, sankata, you go to bed, you get up with the same thought, the first thought. And then the mind goes on. Thank God in the deep sleep, when the mind is undisturbed. See, if it is half disturbed, half awake, it is not deep sleep. See, it is not considered as deep sleep. When really you are sleeping, like a log of wood or like a baby, they say, sleeping like a baby. So there, all these emotions and these ideas are not found. Yes.
Poor man's wealth and the prisoner's relief.
Poor man's?
The poor man's wealth and the prisoner's relief.
Prisoner's release?
Where the poor man is equal, it's only time. Where the poor man is equal to the rich man. And the prisoner is equal to the free man.
Free man. Yeah, in the deep sleep. Yeah. So therefore, here there is nothing. So as he says, everybody is equal. Like there is no etvatalva. So therefore, all these things belonging to the buddhi vritti or buddhi, the upadhi, that is the mind or the buddhi, not to the self. So when this clear discrimination is there, whenever the raga, dvesha comes, ichha, everything rises, then it all belonging to the mind, not to me. I have nothing to do with them. Like that, if we can stand apart, see, this is the secret of the whole sadhana, Vedanta sadhana, standing apart. If you don't practice this or just try this out, then howsoever you study Vedanta, it has no meaning. Because it is only sort of theoretical understanding. What is actual living? We have to stand apart and watch the mind and its play without getting affected. For that, we should be ready for everything. See, if you are not ready for everything, we cannot take that stand. Then you fall for it. Whatever happens. I am going to stand apart and see what's happening. To take that standpoint, then you can see. If not, if you are a little weak, because you don't want certain things to happen, you want things to happen certain way, then you cannot sit quiet. You cannot stand apart. Only when you say, whatever happens, I don't care, good or bad, but I am going to stand apart. If you take this standpoint, then only you can stand apart. Dharvo udasina bhava, udasina vadasinaha. I don't care, whatever happens is okay. Then you can take this standpoint. You understand? So here, tasmat buddhe hetu na atmanaha. It is all belonging to the mana buddhi, not to the self. Prakashorkasya to yasya shaityamagner yatoshnata swabhava satchidananda Nitya nirmalatatmanah prakashorkasyato yasya shaityamagneryatoshnata swabhava satchidananda Nitya nirmalatatmanah Arkasya. For the sun, what is its svabhava? Prakashaha. Light is its nature. Without light, there is no sun. Sun means what? Light. Because light is its nature. Similarly, toyasya. What is the nature of the water? Meaning, shaityam, to be cool. That is the nature of the water. You know, when you heat it up also, temporarily it is hot. When you allow it, just like that you leave it, then it cools down. Water cannot remain hot always. If you take out the fire, it comes back to its original state, natural state. What is its natural state? To be cool. Similarly, agnehe ushnata. For the fire, heat. Heat is its nature. It burns. If the fire is not burning, cool fire means there is no fire like that. It is not fire at all then. Similarly, what is the svabhava of nitya nirmalata atmanaha? What is the svabhava of this Atma, the self, which is ever present and which is nirmala? Nirmala means which is pure. Satchidanandaha. So the nature of the self is Satchidananda. These are all not the three qualities. It is actually, or three properties. It is its nature. Meaning what? It is by its own nature pure existence and awareness. And Ananda means it is Ananta, infinite and not conditioned by anything. Therefore Ananda. So this is the svabhava of Atma, which is Nitya, always present, and Nirmala. Nirmalata means purity. To be pure, because there is nothing other than the self, in the self. Therefore it is ever pure. So that is your nature. Svabhava means real nature is what? To be ever present and to be aware and not to involve or react. To be ever present. Just a witness. That is our Svabhava. Satchidanandaha. He introduced himself today, na? Aham Satchidanandaha. I was so taken aback. What a beautiful introduction. That is truth. Aham Satchidananda. I am the Satchidananda. So that is the real nature of the self. Satchidananda. Even though you identify with the body mind, you suffer. How long you can suffer? You cannot suffer for long. Even your close, your whatever, that person has died. How long you can mourn? For some time only. See, the nature of the self is Ananda, to be happy. So you can't go on being sad and mourning, It is actually alien to ourselves. It is not our true nature. So we come back. Whatever happens, we come back to ourselves, which is Ananda. Means we want to be happy only. Nobody wants to be sad. See, whoever goes, we are not born together, no. Everything has come in between and we will go. We go or that person goes. So, konja naalukku dhaan ellam, mourning and all. Not always. The life moves on, na? And our Svabhava is Ananda. We cannot be miserable for long. Even if we try, we cannot be. So, somehow the mind searches for happiness. Wherever it finds it, it is happy. For some people, music. For some people, watching movie. For some people, eating good food. For some people, lazying around. For some people, interacting with people and company of some people. For some people, satsanga. Whatever gives happiness, the mind goes there. It cannot remain miserable always. You understand? Now, moving on. See, again and again, these things we have seen in the Vivek Chudamani, but still it is coming here. Atmanas Satchidam Shascha Buddher Vrittiriti Dvayam Sanyojya Cha Vivekena Janamiti Pravartate Atmanas Satchidam Shascha Buddher Vrittiriti Dvayam Sanyojya Cha Vivekena Janamiti Pravartate. See, all of us have got this experience. Every day, every moment. What is that? Janami. I know. We say, yes, I know. How this idea of I know this is a mic. I know this is a chair. That I don't know. This is also part of the knowledge only. So I know how it happens. See how much they have observed. I know means how it happens. Atmanaha Satchidamshaha. So from the Atma, the self, Satchidamsha is borrowed. Sat means it is. Chit means illumination. Because the vritti by itself cannot exist on its own, or it cannot know anything. No illumination for it. But what is vritti? Always in the womb of a thought there is some object. Right? So the vritti rises in the mind, whatever may be the reason it rises. In the mind or in the buddhi, wherever it rises. And then buddhehe vritti iti dvayam sanyojya. And when the Satchid aspect of the Atma, the self, and the vritti aspect of the buddhi, sanyojya, when they come together, avivekena. This is the catch. Because of non-discrimination. Why non-discrimination? The self by itself cannot have any vritti. See? Vritti means which rises and which sets or disappears. The vritti, this Satchidananda Atma, the self, cannot have any vritti. There is nothing other than it. Vritti by itself cannot exist because it is not having any illumination of its own. So these are two different realities actually. Like the post and the ghost. Ghost is not. It is only an appearance. Because of our delusion. It is only an imagination. These two realities can never get together. Sanyoja is not possible. So that is why Gurudev says, the unholy wedding between the matter and the spirit. The vritti is called as the matter. And the illumination is given by the spirit. Spirit means the Atma Chaitanyam. Chit-chaya, that's what. So, this cannot happen because by itself, Atma has got nothing to illumine. By itself, the vritti cannot exist or it cannot have any illumination. So, these are two different realities. They can never come together, but somehow they have come together. Because of some ignorance, aviveka. Then comes the idea, I know. So, therefore, you know what? This is very important. I know idea is true because of ignorance. How proud we are, to know things. I know this, I know that. I have known that. I have got that degree, this degree. I have known everything. This I know itself is because of ignorance of the true self. Because aviveka. No discrimination. So whatever knowledge you have got is because of ignorance. Spiritual ignorance. Not knowing the self. Because of the indiscrimination. Non-discrimination. Whatever. See? So this very idea of I know is born out of what? Ignorance, non-discrimination. And then you build up, I know this, I know that, and then that, this, that. All this is in the platform of ignorance of the self. Therefore, everything is considered as ignorance only. Whatever we know about the world, about ourselves, about God, everything is ignorance, because it is all because of ignorance. This matter and the spirit can never come together. It is of different realities. Matter is not and the spirit is. How can a thing which is not and which is can come together? It can never. The ghost and the post can never wed and thereafter live happily. Because ghost was never, post is ever. How can the ghost and post get married? You know? You cannot tie the snake with the rope. How can you tie the snake with the rope? When you know it is rope, then the snake has gone. When you see the snake, you don't see a rope. These are different realities. So therefore, this I know can never happen. But somehow it is happening. How? Because of not knowing the self, it is happening. Because of identification with the not self, it is happening. That is aviveka. So because of the identification with the not self, this knowledge of things happen. I know. So therefore, dear Professor Sir, or dear whoever you are, intelligent one, whatever you know is all ignorance from the highest standpoint. And whatever you don't know also is ignorance only. Huh? Yeah. So only the knowledge of the self is the real knowledge, and that you can never know. Then you can just lose yourself and be. But Swamiji, with the susukshma buddhya you can understand, you said, no? With the jnana chakshu, with that amala chakshu bodaha, the knowledge, the eye of knowledge. Yes, in that sukshma buddhi you can get a glimpse of it, but that also pratibimba only you can see, not the actual. See, when you go and see in front of the mirror, you see your face. That face reflects your face only. The bimba, the reflection is very true. Honestly, it reflects your face. That way you can see. But you cannot see with your own eyes your own face. Never you can. But the mirror, if you go and see, you know, is there any problem here, here? You know, something like the sukshma buddhya also, you can see the glimpse of the self or the reflection of the self. But we have to give up everything and abide in the self. So that is how it is. So see, the very idea of I know is born out of ignorance. Then if somebody says, I am a very educated, very, scholarly, that is nothing like me, means ignorance. So when you become very knowledgeable, you become very humble. All this knowledge is all out of ignorance of the self. Therefore, nothing to be proud or nothing to carry the knowledge on your head. So, it is like the Sanyojya means coming together of what? The Satchid Amsha of the self and the Buddhi Vritti. Vritti which is in the Buddhi, both coming together. This I know is born. This I am the doer, I am the enjoyer is born. But this can never happen. Somehow it has happened because of aviveka. Because of the identification it has happened. And then we suffer. And then again, Atmano vikriya nasti, buddher bodho na jatvati, na jatviti, jiva sarvamalam jnatva, jnata drashteti mukhyati. Atmano vikriya nasti. Buddher bodho na jatviti. Jiva sarvamalam jnatva. Jnata drishteti mukhyati. Atmanaha, the self, vikriya nasti. There is no activity whatsoever in the Atma, the self. Because it is still. It is infinite, therefore it is still. There is no activity there in Atmanaha, in the self. Buddhehe bodho na jatu iti. In the buddhi, there is no elimination of its own. No, na bodhaha, it is no knowledge of its own. It is inert. But somehow, in between something comes which is identified with the buddhi and the mind. That is me, the self, identifying with the buddhi, that is jiva bhava, has come. And what he says, sarvam alam nyatva. It is not sarvam alam. It is sarvam alam. Alam means enough. Sarvam alam. I know everything. Alam means enough. Means what? Everything I know. Sarvam alam nyatva. I know everything. Jnata drashta iti mukhyati. And I am the knower. Drashta, I am the seer. I am the doer. Iti mukhyati. Thus he is deluded. See? The self by itself has no activity. And the buddhi has got no illumination of its own. But because of the identification with the Atma, with the buddhi, the jiva bhava is born. And then he says, I know everything. I am the knower. I am the doer. I am the seer. Iti mukhyati. Thus he is deluded. So the idea of I know everything, I am the knower, I am the doer, all this is out of delusion. Because as the self, we are not the doer, there is no activity in the self. As the self, there is nothing to know there. Absolutely there is nothing to know there. So if you say I know something in the world, it is all ignorance. Iti mukhyati, the deluded jiva, he thinks, I know, I enjoy, I do, all those things. So what is the logic? The buddhi can never have illumination and Atma can never have any movement. But somehow these two come together as if there is a movement will be illumination. Illumination is the jiva aspect. The movement is from the buddhi. So he says, I am the doer, I am the knower, I am the enjoyer. See, you understand? So this is out of delusion, mukhyati. Thus he leads his life in samsara. Adhikar Swamiji, how can we live without knowing anything in this world? No, you know everything, but you are not the knower. You are only the illuminator of all the knowledge. So, the experience without the experiencer. So, when you identify with the true self, there is an experience, but you don't become an experiencer. Meaning, experience also may be born, but you don't identify with him. You are just the experience, just the self in which everything is happening. See, when you go there, only you know exactly what it is. Howsoever you think about it, it is not, that much, convincing. But when you go there and see only, it is very, very true. Rajju sarpavadatmanam Jivo jnatva bhayam vahet नाहं जीव परात्मेति ज्ञातश्चेन्निर्भयो भवेत् रज्जु सर्पवदात्मानं जीवो ज्ञात्वा भयं वहेत् नाहं जीव परात्मेति ज्ञातश्चेन्निर्भयो भवेत् रज्जु सर्पवद. On the rope you see a snake. Like seeing a snake on the rope, Atmanam jivo jnatva. If you understand your own self to be this limited jiva who is expressing as I know, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, bhayam vahet. Whenever you express as jiva, there is always fear. Fear of what? Losing something. There is always fear. Because it is in the duality. Knower known. Duality. Always there is fear. See, like whenever you see snake in the rope, there is fear, na? Similarly, when you see yourself as a jiva, not as the Atma, the self. The bird which is eating. If you think yourself to be that jiva, always sukha dukkha. Always desire and fear. You are always in this relative realm only. Naham jivaha paratma iti jnataha. When you know yourself, not this jiva I am, but I am the paramatma, that is the real self, then what happens? Nirbhayo bhavet. No fear. You become fearless. So, how to become fearless? To understand that I am not this limited jiva, but I am Atma, the self. With this knowledge only, you become fearless. Abiding in this knowledge, just only not intellectually appreciating it. Intellectually appreciate also, you will have fear only. But actually, abiding in it, there is no fear. Only when you become a jiva, identify with the body mind, then there's fear of death, the fear of change, the fear of change, the fear of death, the fear of unknown. All this is there when you are jiva. When you identify with the Paramatma, the Atma, the self, there is no fear of death because it will not perish. You know clearly it is beginningless, endless. There is no change. There is no fear of change. There is no fear of unknown because there is nothing else other than it. It is very clear. Therefore, there is no fear. The perfect fearlessness can happen only when you abide as Atma, the self. That is why these great masters have no fear whatsoever. Because they know they cannot be killed. So how to become fearless is explained in these words. Moving on. Atma vabhasayat eko buddhyadin indriyanyapi deepo ghatadivat swatma jhadaistairnavabhasate tairnavabhasyate atma vabhasayet eko buddhyadin indriyanyapi deepo ghatadivat swatma jhadaistairnavabhasyate. See, the deepo is given in the third line. See, that has to be read first. Like the lamp, like the deepa, Atma avabhasayati ekaha. The Atma, the self, is one, ekaha, and avabhasayati buddhi adi indriyani api. And that illuminates what? Buddhi adi indriyani api. The buddhi vritti and the sense objects, etc. It illuminates everything. What? The Atma, the self. Like the deepam. Deepam, when you take, it illuminates everything. Is that not so? Like that. But ghatadivat, ghadadi swatma jadaihi tenaiva avavasyate. This pot, etc., they are jada because they cannot illuminate anything, or they don't illuminate themselves. Means they don't know anything and they don't know themselves also. The pot, etc. Why we say this whatever table or whatever is jada? Why we say? Because it cannot know me or anybody else. It cannot know itself also. How do you know? I know. But Atma is not like that. It illumines everything and itself also. So this is the difference. Atma like deepaha, like the lamp. Ekaha, it's one, but it can illumine all the buddhi, indriyani, etc., everything. Whatever happening inside and whatever the objects through the senses, it can illumine. But the inert things, the material objects, by themselves cannot illumine themselves because they are inert. Jadaihi tena taihi na avabhasyate. Jadaihi, they are jada, inert, because taihi, they themselves, na avabhasyate, they don't illuminate anything or themselves also. That is called jadam. You understand now the difference between matter and the spirit? Atma, it is of the nature of the light. Light means knowledge. So, only Atma, the self, has got this illumination, not anything else. This is our philosophy. So, that illuminates everything and illuminates itself. But all the other rest of the material objects, matter, it cannot illuminate anything, or know itself also. That is the difference between Atma, the self, and the matter, the jada. Jada, sambandha ulagam. You know what? This is the most beautiful thing. See, when you are deluded, I have not completed, don't close your books. Some people have not opened the book, that is good. So, when you are deluded, what I was trying to say, I forgot. What I was trying to say? Anyway, forget about it. So the Atma cannot eliminate it. The Atma eliminates everything and eliminates itself, but the Jada, Sambandha, this is what I was trying to say. See, fascinating thing, you know what? When we are functioning as a Jiva means what? Confused individual, identifying with Anatma. We see everything as the mixture of matter and spirit. We can see, I am the spirit. Spirit means I know everything. This is the matter. Similarly, you can say. But when you realize the self, you know what happens? All the matter aspect is rolled away and only spirit remains. How? That is how it is. Meaning, the self alone remains, which is pure consciousness. Everything else is rolled away means what? Understood to be imagination of the mind only. The gross material aspect of whatever we have perceiving is understood to be a figment of our own imagination. It is not. So what remains is self only, the pure consciousness. How? That is how it is. That is why it is a different thing, awakening. All this time we have been seeing as the combination of matter and spirit. But when the knot is dissolved, then only spirit. Where is the matter gone? See, Vivek is going to ask, see, beautifully is going to ask, who has taken the world away? Somebody has rolled the world, means they have rolled and they have taken away. Where has the world gone? Our Shankara is going to ask, where has the world gone? So beautiful. So the world what we think to be very real, the Jada Sambandham, is all rolled away and taken away. And what is left is Atma Chaitanyam, the spirit, the pure consciousness. How? Nobody knows. That is how it is actually always. But what happened in between? Mayajala Vidya irukena, it's Mayajala Vidya dhaan. See, actually J. Krishnamurti says, see, he is a very, very Madhuri, unbiased thinker. And also, since he has not been brought in this traditional way, he is a original thinker. Even Bhagavan is that way. Original thinkers. See, what happens to the traditional thinkers, they have fallen into the spiritual jargon, the same sort of methodology, same sort of thing, you know. But these people, they come rarely, like Nisargadatta, Bhagavan, J. Krishnamurti, you cannot put them into any box, they are original thinkers. You know, they are original actually. So, J. Krishnamurti, he says, when we see an object, when we see something, we actually don't see it. We actually see it along with everything. His qualities, our reactions, everything. So we don't even see. We don't even hear. So therefore, when you are awakened there, it is only pure consciousness. He says, the world, the creation is really mysterious, he says. He doesn't say it is Maya, Karya, and this, that, and when you go there is no Maya, and the business line. He says it is very mysterious, you cannot account it. The creation cannot be accounted. Because when you are awakened, there is no creation. But when you are in ignorance, there is everything. How to account this? Nobody can account it. It is mysterious. How the Paramatma is running this show, nobody knows. It is very mysterious actually. So therefore, when you are here, you see everything as combination of matter and spirit. When you go there, there is only spirit. Where has the matter gone? Nobody knows. Because it has not come out to go anywhere. It was always in our mind, figment of our own imagination. So the imagination is taken away. That's all. Yapashyati sapashyati. Swabhode nanya bodhecha bodha rupatayatmanaha nadhipasyanya dhipecha yata swatma prakashane swabhode nanya bodhecha bodha rupatayatmanaha nadhipasyanya dhipecha yata swatma prakashane. Swabhode, this self-knowledge, na anya bodha icha, it doesn't need any other knowledge to illuminate it, meaning to make it known. Why? Bodha rupataya atmanaha. It is of the nature of knowledge. See, to know any other thing, you need the deepam, the lamp. But how is the lamp seen? How is the lamp known? Lamp seen by its own light. See, with the light of the lamp, you see all the other objects. Now tell me how the lamp is seen by its own light. So you don't take a torch and say, where is the lamp, which is glowing now? Huh? And you don't take a torch to see the light, the lamp. Because it is self-effulgent, it is glowing by itself. Similarly, to know the Atma, the self, you don't need any other knowledge or any other light. It is Swayam Jyotihi. See? Swabodhe na anya bodha ichha. There is no other knowledge required to know the self. To know other things, you need Atma, the self. Then to know the Atma, nothing else is required, because by itself it is pure knowledge. Jnaname adu, adai ariya vera jnanam thevilla. No other knowledge is required to know this, because by nature it is of the nature of knowledge. Like the sun. To see the sun, you don't need any torchlight. Sun is revealed by his own light. Sun means light only. So he is revealed by his own light. So you don't need any other light. Similarly, Atma means of the nature of knowledge. Bodha, Bodha Rupaha. So you don't need any other knowledge. So when I drop all these means of knowledge, the Indriya, the Mana, Buddhi, everything, then how will I know it? That was the question asked by the Shishya. Then I see nothing there. He said, no, it is not nothing. The self is there to illumine everything. See, you don't see anything as an object. But the illuminator, the very, very subject, core of the subject, remains. So therefore, if you ask, okay, Atma illuminates everything, but who illuminates Atma? You need any other knowledge or any other Atma, Super Atma to illuminate this Atma. Then what happens, then who is illuminating the Super Atma? It goes infinitum, means what? It goes beyond. Means without any end it goes. So somewhere you have to put a stop. So this Atma, the self, is self-effulgent. It knows itself because it's of the nature of knowledge. Therefore, no other knowledge is required to illumine this Atma, the self. We will stop here. Why today I find some of you to be very, very tired? Om Purnamadha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. See, I suggest you people rest